All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, man. We're back home, going to Cabo in a couple of days for work. So new location for a handful of days. I'm still kind of, wondering what content's going to look like while we're in Mexico, but came out a couple hours ago. Russell Westbrook apparently in the Houston Rockets, if a trade were to actually go down, a Russell Westbrook, John Wall swap, if that actually were to go down, apparently Russell Westbrook and the Houston Rockets would immediately hop on the buyout talk. So, this is interesting here. This is a real interesting trade. I still, let me get my opinion out right away. I still don't think this happens. And I'll tell you why. Before I tell you why, if you guys enjoy this video, be sure to hit that like button, hit that sub button, post content every single day. I have two issues. Actually, I have a bunch of issues with this trade. First off, Rafael Stone and the Houston Rockets are in no way, shape, or form in a rush to get John Wall off of the books. In fact, there's been several reports and rumors coming out in the last couple of weeks, specifically the last few days, that Houston might not even make a move at the trade deadline. And here is why. They're trying to get all of their fat salaries off of the books by 2023. John Wall, he's out in 2 years. Assumingly he accepts his player option worth like $45 million next season, which I would imagine he would accept. And then you have Eric Gordon coming off of the books as well. And you also just so happen to have Christian Wood coming off too. So that would leave you room with at least two max contract slots. Take a look at the free agency list 2 seasons from now. It makes sense. It's solid. But here's where I have even a bigger issue, because I would imagine if Rafael Stone and Russell Westbrook, they had a mutual understanding that they would actually figure out a buyout, the Houston Rockets would need a first-round pick. Like, they would need a first-round pick. I don't want to hear any 2 second-round picks. Oh, my God, get that out of my head. Like I said, the Houston Rockets, they're in no rush. They're not going to make moves in free agency. If they do, it would be more of a guy like a Daniel Tice, where it's, we're talking like $10 million a year contract, less than $10 million a year contract, just like Daniel Tice. My issue is the Lakers. That's like their first-round pick, as crazy as it may seem, because it's in... 6 years from now? I guess we're in 2022, as crazy as it is. A first-round pick 5 years from now isn't all that enticing. Like, it really just is not that enticing for your everyday team. A team like the Houston Rockets, a team like the Oklahoma City Thunder, they see the value in that, because what they would want to do is they would just compile it. They would bundle those, whether it's this season, whether it's at the draft, whether it's at the trade deadline next season. They would compile all their first-round picks to, make a move, not for Ben Simmons, maybe Ben Simmons, but for a guy like Ben Simmons. That's why you want all these first-round picks. When you hear like Philadelphia's like, we want 4 first-round picks for James Harden or for Ben Simmons, you're like, what? 4? Houston Rockets, Oklahoma City Thunder, rebuilding teams, if they're smart, they get rid of their expiring contracts, they get rid of their veteran experts, experienced players, and they get first-round picks from them. My issue is the Lakers, that first-round pick is really one of their only valuable assets right now. The rumor mill right now is that they've been offering teams Talen Horton-Tucker, Kendrick Nunn, and that first-round pick, and they are getting zero interest. And it makes sense. It makes sense. I don't know who they're going for, but I would imagine if it's guys like Jeremy Grant, it's kind of hard to imagine. Even Ben Simmons, like, Philly's not accepting that trade. THT, 1 first-round pick, and Kendrick Nunn for Ben Simmons. That doesn't even make sense salary-wise, but you get what I'm saying. What I think happens is I think the Lakers do and should hold on to Russell Westbrook. I don't think Russell Westbrook is the sole problem for all these Laker issues. I know Russell Westbrook doesn't help their defensive issues, but it's not like he's the only dude out there not playing defense. It's not like that one bit. It's a team effort. No one's playing defense on the Lakers. That's not something they're doing this season. I do imagine that, and it has started to change. But I would imagine once Anthony Davis comes back, it's not end-all, be-all. It's not immediately fixed, but he's an anchor. It's like having, I was reading a tweet today from a Houston Rockets podcaster, and he was like, I don't understand, Lakers are 12-13 without Anthony Davis, or with Anthony Davis. I don't understand why they think this is like immediately fixes their solutions. Well, let's take a guy very similar defensively to Anthony Davis, like Giannis Antetokounmpo. What happens when the Bucks lose Giannis Antetokounmpo? They do bad. They play worse defense. They're not as good as offense. Like, when you're missing your best player, in the Lakers situation, your second best player, you're not going to, like, do I need to explain what happens? Yes, if you're missing your best defensive player, your defense is going to get worse. That's how that works. I don't think Anthony Davis immediately fixes everything, but he is a key critical piece to this team. So obviously losing him is going to make your defense worse. Food for thought. So, I don't think the Lakers should trade Russell Westbrook. And if they don't trade Russell Westbrook, the Rockets and the Lakers don't have any business trading together. The only thing I could think of is, and I know Rockets fans would disagree with this, but I would take Eric Gordon for Talen Horton-Tucker. I don't think the salaries would, I think, they'd have to throw in like DeAndre Jordan or something, get the $18 million range that Eric Gordon signed to, but I would take Talen Horton-Tucker and, DeAndre Jordan or Kendrick Nunn or whatever it is for Eric Gordon. I would do that. Hell yeah, I would do that. I do want a first-round pick. But the rumor mill right now is that the Houston Rockets are probably not going to trade Eric Gordon because I guess what every team is offering them is there's just too much protection. There's too much protection on these first-round picks. And the hope is that these teams kind of start to get more desperate. But who really knows if that's going to happen? You know what I'm saying? Like, who really knows if that's what's going to happen? So if the Lakers don't trade Russell Westbrook, I think, honestly, Russell Westbrook maybe has like 3 teams at the most that he could actually end up going to. Maybe like the Pelicans, maybe the Knicks, maybe the Clippers, but I highly doubt that. So there's only a handful of teams that can actually, or would actually, I should say, do a trade for Russell Westbrook, because it would probably have to be like at least a 3-for-1 trade. And given just the fact that LeBron James kind of vouched for Russell Westbrook, and he was like, if not the reason, a very big reason to as far as why the Lakers chose Westbrook over DeRozan, over Kyle Lowry, I would imagine LeBron sees the value. Like, Russ isn't that bad of a player. On every LeBron James team, there's going to be a scapegoat. Right now, it's Russell Westbrook. Right now, it's Frank Vogel. It happens with every team that has, like, a generational basketball talent that just isn't doing as well as they should. So, realistically, what I think the Lakers end up doing is I think they flip Talen, Kendrick, and their first-round pick for a guy like Harrison Barnes. And then I think they use, maybe a second-round pick, several second-round picks to get an enticing deal going with, like, the Orlando Magic for, like, Terrence Ross. Russell Westbrook, just because of that first-round pick, I think the Lakers are much, much better off not dealing with the Rockets unless they were doggy desperate. If the Lakers had yet to make a move come like the last day of the deadline and they're making calls, Pelinka's making calls, and they're not getting anything, and they're like, yeah, we're just not sold on Westbrook, that's when I see this trade actually making sense for them. When they're all out of options. They've exhausted every single option. So that's it for today, man. Just kind of wanted to give some input on this situation right now. If you guys enjoyed it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button for daily videos, and I will see you guys later.